Tonight we're going to explore some of the chilling urban legends that come from Los Angeles, California. I live fairly near to LA, so I find these to be extra creepy. From sentient winds to haunted hotels, there's no shortage of spooky tales to thrill you. This will be the first in a rather long series that will be both in the United States and international. I love urban legends, and I hope you guys do too. So without further ado, grab some coffee or tea, get comfortable, and get ready to take another journey into the night. The Santa Ana winds are strong, dry, and hot, and sometimes make you feel as if you're standing in front of a massive open oven. They typically occur in the fall as high-pressure winds in the Great Basin move at high speeds across the desert toward the low-pressure air of the coast. Angelenos like to pretend that there is something mystical about the winds that cause people to behave more aggressively than usual, and perhaps they're not pretending. It's Los Angeles' very own Mercury in retrograde. In the book Red Wind, a collection of short stories, Raymond Chandler wrote, "It was one of those hot, dry Santa Anas that come down through the mountain passes and curl your hair and make your nerves jump and your skin itch. On nights like that, every booze party ends in a fight. Meek little wives feel the edge of the carving knife and study their husbands' necks. Anything can happen." Los Angeles weather is the weather of catastrophe, of apocalypse, and, just as reliably long and bitter winters of New England determine the way life is lived there, so the violence and unpredictability of the Santa Ana winds affect the entire quality of life in Los Angeles, accentuate its permanence, its unreliability. The winds show us how close to the edge we really are. Joan Didion, Los Angeles Notebook. People say that Griffith Park is haunted by an old curse. The land once belonged to Spanish soldier José Vicente Feliz, given to him by a Spanish land grant. After his death, the land passed to Maria Ignacia Verdugo, who had wed one of Feliz's sons, and then it passed to her son, Don Antonio Feliz. It is alleged that Don Antonio's friend, Antonio Colonel, tricked Don Antonio Feliz into leaving him the land as Feliz lay on his deathbed. As a result, Feliz's teenage niece, Petronilla, cursed the land, saying, "A blight shall fall upon the face of this terrestrial paradise. The cattle shall no longer fatten but sicken on its pastures. The fields shall no longer respond to the toil of the tiller. The grand oaks shall wither and die. The wrath of heaven and the vengeance of hell shall fall upon this place." However, according to Mike Ebert's Griffith Park, A Centennial History, it's more likely that journalist Horace Bell invented the supposed curse. Still, some point to the hex when discussing tragedies that have occurred on the land. They include the suicide of Peg Entwistle, an aspiring actress who leapt to her death from the H of the Hollywood sign in 1932, and a fire that swept the park in 1933, killing 29 people. When this Art Deco-style hotel opened in downtown Los Angeles in 1927, it was considered quite posh. However, the Great Depression took its toll and the hotel fell into disrepair. Over time, it would become the stuff of nightmares. Serial killer Richard the Night Stalker Ramirez stayed at the hotel in the 80s, and Austrian killer Jack Unterweger booked a room in the hotel in 1991. During Unterweger's stay in Los Angeles, during which he was on assignment as a journalist, he murdered 3 women. In 2013, a young Canadian tourist named Lisa Lam checked into the hotel, but she never checked out. Her body was found several days later on the roof in one of the hotel's 4 water tanks. Although her death was ruled an accidental drowning, it is still unclear how she ended up in the tank. These grim incidents, combined with several suicides and the unsolved murder of a woman in her room in 1964, have led many to believe that the hotel is haunted or home to some pernicious entity. The hotel is currently undergoing renovations, which may help to shed light on its dark and seedy past. An urban legend has it that an advanced race known as the Lizard People lived in catacombs beneath Los Angeles thousands of years ago. Geophysicist George Warren Roosevelt began searching for said tunnels and the Lizard People's buried treasure in the 1930s, saying that he had learned of the legend himself from a Hopi Indian, Chief Greenleaf. Roosevelt's quest was documented by the Los Angeles Times, which reported that Roosevelt claimed to have built an X-ray machine that showed him the network of tunnels. Regardless of the machine, Roosevelt's quest was ultimately a bust, and the supposed catacombs faded into history. There are, however, tunnels beneath downtown LA, which were allegedly used during Prohibition as speakeasies, and through which alcohol was transported. Legends still persist that the subterranean lizard people live there. The Colorado Street Bridge in Pasadena has loomed over the Arroyo Seco since 1912, but is perhaps better known by its unseemly nickname, Suicide Bridge. More than 150 people have leaped to their deaths from this bridge since 1919, particularly around the time of the Great Depression. Unconfirmed legends include a worker who supposedly fell off the bridge during construction and is now entombed inside of it, his ghost beckoning others to join him in death. Another possible ghost, according to those who believe in them, is a young mother who flung her 3-year-old daughter off the bridge before leaping to her own death. Miraculously, the child landed in a tree and survived, while her mother's ghost is said to prowl the bridge searching for her. Even in modern times, the bridge is steeped in tragedy. In 2008, a man murdered his ex-girlfriend and her mother before leaping off the bridge, and in 2013, officials erected suicide prevention signs on the bridge, but that still hasn't stopped some from ending their lives there. In 1947, 22-year-old Elizabeth Short was found dead in Leimert Park. Her body had been cut in half with surgical precision, and her face had been slashed from ear to ear. Despite the efforts of local law enforcement at the time and the public's undying fascination with the tragedy, Short's killer was never caught. Additionally, the circumstances surrounding her murder are mired in rumor, thanks in part to sensationalized news reports. Reporters gave Short a more lurid identity, nicknaming her the Black Dahlia. Some reports said she worked as an escort, although there is no evidence to support that claim. Short was also rumored to have been spotted drinking at the aforementioned Hotel Cecil the night before her death, yet these reports have not been corroborated. Numerous people have confessed to being the killer, yet none of these confessions have ever checked out. Former LAPD officer Steve Hodel wrote a book, The Black Dahlia Avenger, alleging that his father, Dr. George Hodel, murdered Short in his elegant home. That home, known as the Soden House, was built by Frank Lloyd Wright's son, Lloyd Wright, in 1926. Although Hodel was once considered a suspect in the case, it has never been proven that he was responsible. The truth of who committed this horrific crime may never be known. There are multiple stories about what happened on Loma Alta Drive in Altadena. Some say a teenage girl and her friends took her parents' car and died in a crash. Others say a school bus crashed there, killing everyone on board. A particular stretch of road and put your car in neutral, your car will supposedly defy gravity and begin to roll uphill. It goes against everything you think you know about physics, and the legend says that it's the ghost of those girl school kids pushing your car up the hill to help you avoid the same fate that they met. Even creepier, if you put baby powder on the trunk of your car, legend says you'll find fingerprints on it after rolling up the hill. The Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel has had many reports of hauntings from guests over the years. The most popular report is that the ghost of Marilyn Monroe was spotted in a full-length mirror on the property, which used to be in Monroe's poolside suite, number 1200. Others include reports of the sound of a trumpet playing at night, even when there are no musicians staying at the hotel. Those sightings are attributed to the ghost of Montgomery Clift, who stayed at the hotel while filming From Here to Eternity. Some have even said that they've heard his ghost reciting his lines in the hallway. To add to the fears of paranormal activity, there is supposedly a cold spot in the Blossom Ballroom, a circle about 3 feet wide that feels 10 degrees colder than the rest of the room. The water tower in Turnbull Canyon was supposedly the meeting site of a satanic cult back during the Great Depression. The story goes that there was an orphanage nearby, and the cult would adopt children from the orphanage only to perform rituals on them at this very spot. Later in 1952, a small plane crashed near the site, killing all 29 passengers aboard. The legend says that many of the passengers were children, and that it was the spirits of the cult that crashed the plane to bring them more souls. What's more, there are modern reports of satanic activity, and even though Turnbull Canyon is a popular hiking spot, everybody knows that you don't hike Turnbull alone. The One-Eyed Gypsy was a downtown Los Angeles bar that opened all the way back in 1899. As with many older establishments, there were lots of reports of paranormal activity within its walls. Legend has it that the bar was a brothel at one point, and a girl named Anna Felice worked there. Felice died in 1902, either due to suicide or, if you believe the rumors, a botched abortion. Since then, patrons and workers at the bar claimed to have seen a female spirit, and they felt themselves pushed and pinched, possibly by the spirit of Anna, trying to make them feel the same pain that she did.